If you're feeling like a lump on a log, or meaner than a junkyard dog, you've got questions, well I do too. Come on and join the solution revolution. There's answers for me and you, yeah, there's answers that we can use. Come on and join the solution revolution.
Hey, welcome back everybody to Mender Online, the Solution Revolution. I'm Leo Battenhausen. Glad to be back. I've been off for a couple of weeks, but glad to be back talking to you guys, and we have quite a lot of interesting information to discuss this evening on Mender. Let me first start by saying, asking you, do you spank your children? Have you been spanked as a child? If you were spanked as a child, did you respect your parents or did you fear your parents? Not too long ago, I was on Relevant Radio's Morning Air show, which I do every week, and we brought up the topic of spanking on the show based on a study I'm looking at here that I'm going to get to in a minute. But within a 24-hour segment, a 24-minute or 25-minute segment, we received, I think, at least 6 phone calls, and many more were left in the queue from people, adults, who were calling and saying they do, in fact, spank their children, and I think most of them were spanked as children themselves, and they see absolutely nothing wrong with it. We did not get one call for anybody that was against spanking their children. We got different reasons for spanking their children, which were very interesting. One caller said she will only spank her child if the child is in imminent danger, like about to touch the stove or about to hurt themselves. But other parents said when they give fair warnings to their children, usually by the third time, that they know they're going to get hit. They know they're going to get spanked. And children, when they do get spanked, they know why they're being spanked. We just want to be careful that the lines do get blurred between, discipline and abuse. And we're not talking abuse here. Please don't get me wrong. We're talking about discipline. We're talking about a spank, an open-handed spank, or my mother used a wooden spoon. She called it the spanking machine, and it was hanging in the kitchen. And I knew if she meant business and I didn't stop my acting up, I was going to get that wooden spoon. So that's another thing. We can't make these threats and not follow through with them, because then they become pointless. But anyway, the lines do get blurred between abuse and discipline. And I want to talk about the word discipline. Discipline is, the root word is disciple. And the word disciple means to teach. And that's what we're trying to do when we discipline our children. We are trying to teach them something. We're trying to teach them a lesson. We're trying to teach them how to behave. So all of these callers were in support of being spanked when they were children. They knew why they were being spanked, and they use it with their children when the crime fits the punishment. Okay? How many times have we been in a store or maybe a church function or something where a child is just screaming out of control bloody murder, and we wish the parent would do something to stop it, and they don't? Is that productive or not productive? Does that help the child learn anything? Probably not. But we would hope they did something to calm this child down. Obviously there's something going wrong here. In any event, let me bring up this study here that came out on April 25th of 2016. It's quite an interesting study here. It came out of the University of Texas at Austin, and the title of it is "Risks of Harm from Spanking Confirmed by Analysis of 5 Decades of Research." That's 50 years. Okay, and here's the summary so you understand what the findings were about, and I'm going to talk about that. The more children are spanked, the more likely they are to defy their parents and to experience increased antisocial behavior, aggression, mental health problems, and cognitive difficulties, according to a new meta-analysis of 50 years of research on spanking. Wow. Now, listen, children who are spanked are more likely to defy their parents, experience increased antisocial behavior, aggression, mental health problems, and cognitive difficulties. All of that from being spanked. That's a tall order, my friends. I don't know anybody who has been spanked that has, and certainly from the radio show I did the other day, no one said they had any of these. These were well-spoken people that are productive in life, myself included, and we were all spanked as children. So this study I take question with, and I take question with it for several reasons. One of them is, first of all, well, I'm going to get to this, but how do you take a study of children being spanked over a 50-year session, a 50-year duration? What do you do? Put them in a laboratory and spank the pants off them and wait until they're adults and see what happens to them? You can't study spanking children. You can't spank children. You know how they got their results, and they don't mention it in here as to how they found out what they needed to find out. But apparently they used what's called subjective measures, and subjective measures rely on self-report. Okay, and now there's always room for doubt with self-report studies, because people lie, and they can lie or forget or misrepresent the truth when they are forgetting. Now, an objective study is where we could actually follow someone around and watch them being spanked and follow their life and career path and watch them as adults to see if they have all of these antisocial behaviors and mental illnesses and aggression. So we're looking at a self-reported study here that's concluding that spanking children causes them to be more likely to defy their parents and to experience increased antisocial behavior, mental health problems, aggression, cognitive difficulties. This is crap. I don't buy it one bit. I know a lot of people that have been spanked and have none of these things. And on every caller I spoke to, none of them had any problems as being spanked as children themselves. So this report goes out there and gets published in the Journal of Family Psychology. So who's reading this? This is a misleading report, and could certainly cause parents to say, "Oh, I can't spank my child. I don't want them to be an antisocial." Now, let me tell you something about antisocial people, and something about aggression and people who have mental health problems and cognitive difficulties. Okay? They have a tendency to bend the truth, and that's putting it nicely, especially antisocial people. Antisocial people are your narcissistic and psychopathic people. That's just another word for it. Antisocial is not, I don't talk to people. Antisocial is a sickness. They're mean, they're violent, and very, very dangerous. So you're going to ask the who are perhaps in trouble using their kids if they were spanked as children. And you're going to draw a conclusion to that from what they say. Now, listen, this is a defense attorney 101. Somebody gets in trouble for, say, child abuse, they're going to blame their parents and their past. My childhood was so horrible. How many times have you heard this? If you watch, crime shows and this sort of thing, or you read it in the papers, this is always the first line of defense. Oh, I was raised this way. I was beaten as a child. Well, that might be the case, and that might cause antisocial behavior. Okay, it certainly can be a part of that. I'm not saying it isn't, but spanking and true discipline, not abuse, can make anybody antisocial, sure. But this is not what they're saying in this report. They have made a clear distinction that they are saying spanking with an open-handed palm and not physical abuse. So I have to take issue with the results of this report and who they got their answers from. They certainly didn't get them from in a clinical study. They got them from self-report, and I think they have a lot of nerve to publish such a thing, and I question the ethics of the Journal of Family Psychology for putting such a thing out. 2 years ago, Massachusetts, in their Supreme Court, legalized corporal punishment for children. Now, how about that? That was just a couple of years ago. Why is that? A case came up where they found a child needed to be disciplined. Now we're all scared to death of disciplining our kids. Things have changed, and this study's been going on for 50 years. You're going to tell me 50 years ago spanking wasn't more used or normal? I think this report is barking up the wrong people's trees for its results, folks. Antisocial people, like they're claiming kids who get spanked can turn into or be likely to turn into, can be, and most times are, liars, born liars. So the results of this study are garbage as far as I'm concerned, as far as this field is concerned. And I think I will just write a retort to these people and say, how dare you post such a thing and mislead families and parents who think that open-handed hitting to discipline their child is going to cause the child to have all these horrible things. There's another reason I'm going to get into why I think all these children have these horrible things, and I'll get to that in a minute, but it's not because they've been spanked. The people on Relevant Radio and the people I've polled in my practice, I don't see it, not one. I have seen it, though, when I worked at psychiatric hospitals and when I worked in the legal system, the antisocial criminals who would get arrested and brought in would give a family history, and of course they say, I was beaten as a child. Maybe they were, perhaps they were, and I'm not saying that gives them an excuse to be what they are, but I don't think it was from just spanking, okay? Maybe they were horribly abused as kids. Still doesn't give them the reason or a defense against abusing children of their own or others, but it's certainly more likely, and I think the people who responded to this report, this self-report, this subjective report, were embellishing quite a bit, and the researchers didn't take any of that into account. So shame on them, and we're going to throw that report out the window, and we're going to give kudos to the state of Massachusetts for supporting what they call corporal punishment for children. That's a big, dirty sounding word, but we know what they meant. They meant discipline. Discipline meaning to teach a lesson. Now, second report I found today is that a new kind of candy pill has come out for children. Isn't that nice? An ADHD that's chewy and orange flavored for kids. Because kids don't like to take pills, but we are so hell-bent on popping pills into our kids' mouths to make them behave that we run for these things. Maybe we should try spanking them. Maybe that would help discipline our kids so we don't have to run to take a pill and then pop it in their mouth to get them to behave. This is really scary stuff. It's tasty and easy to take. A new ADHD drug alarms some psychiatrists. The ad for it has a kid smiling with a big happy face on it. Isn't that nice? Isn't that sick? The concept of kids smiling with candy flavored amphetamine on their tongue. Can't you see it? This is not funny stuff, though, folks. But I mean, come on. What are we doing with our kids that we need to be looking for pills to begin with? And then we're talking about kids age 4 to 17 that are completely overdiagnosed as it is. If kids don't behave at home, we run them into their usually their general pediatrician who knows nothing about childhood emotional or mental disorders and is too quick to write a script to keep mommy and daddy quiet and then shut the kid up. That's not disciplining, is it? What is that teaching our kids? Teaching our kid nothing. Our kids, and then this ADHD, this hyperactivity disorder, I take issue with a lot of these diagnoses, and those are two of them, ADHD and ADD. They've been around for a million years. We just didn't call them these types of ADD or ADHD. They were hyper kids back then. or kids who had some problem focusing, you know, we would work with them instead of popping pills in their mouth. Parents have gotten so lazy when it comes to parenting, and that's a big part of the problem. That might be the problem, and discipline certainly is part of that problem if they're not receiving the proper amount of discipline. That's our job as parents, to teach our children how to grow up into functioning normal human beings without relying on orange-flavored gummy pills, which will probably wind up being gotten and sold on the market anyway to college kids and other people who don't really need them, just so they can speed their faces off, you know, which is all these pills do, which is, I don't understand how they even work, and why we would give them to our youngest of children, I don't know. But we're overdiagnosing children left and right here in this country. The child is being so neglected by parental influences today. And most parents that I know of, the functioning, healthy parents, they don't want these pills. Pills are the last resort, and I agree. Parenting is the first line of defense. Parenting, discipline, consequences, reward the good, punish the bad. It's very simple, but people have no time. People seem to be too lazy. People don't know how to parent. No, there is no book, but you can learn. You can go online, you can talk to other parents, you can join support groups, you can come into therapy. Take responsibility for parenting. Stop running for pills all the time. But this is a scary one. This orange flavored pill, who knows where this will go and what will be next. Because the kids naturally don't want to take pills, so they're trying to find a way to make them yummy, like candy. So the kids will be asking for them, Mommy, Daddy, can I have my pill? I'm trying to look for the name of this thing because it was a really creepy name. And it just fails. I can't remember at the moment. Started with a Z, and I don't want to waste your time looking. No, it doesn't start. Adzenys. Adzenys is the name of. So I guess that's Adderall and Zenny. To add the little children's little, sounds like Zannies. Remember Zanny the nanny? Yeah, Xanax. Adzenys for children. So this has not been met with a lot of open arms in the medical field, folks. Just so you know that. But it's out there, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Pharmaceutical companies are not in the business of helping people. They're in the business of making money, and they will exploit you and me and our children, no matter how they can, with these ridiculous, I think, fictional diagnoses of children in order to make Mommy and Daddy have less to do. Here's another. Researchers from Harvard tested the drug and found it to cause significant improvements in adolescents with ADHD. I'm sorry, this stuff really makes me sick, but there's two things going on, folks. We have the nonsensical, lying report on spanking from the University of Texas, and we have Adzenys, the yummy, gummy, orange-flavored, dissolving speed pill to keep your kids out of trouble and off your back, okay? And if that doesn't work, why don't you just plug them into a computer? That'll take care of it. Anything to let the parents not have to do their job. It's your job, folks. It's your responsibility. You need to listen to me on Relevant Radio. I want people to start hearing these conversations because we have some very good callers there on that show, and they raise some very good, valid points, and I think you would appreciate that, and I invite you all to call in if you'd like, and we can talk live. Or if you can't get and tune in when we're on the air, you can always go back and listen to the archives. Go to relevantradio.com, and click on the Morning Air Show. My segments are on every other Tuesday morning at 7:30 Eastern Time and every other Thursday at 9:30 Eastern Time. If you click on Relevant Radio and go to the Morning Air Show, you can look at the week's schedule and see when I will be on. And if you can stream in on their online live, or some towns are lucky enough to have them on actual terrestrial radio, I think you will really appreciate a lot of the information we talk about. which is where I gathered the information to bring here to Mender Online. If you like this and you like my channel, please subscribe at the bottom of the screen and become a regular member of the Solution Revolution. We are the ones who are going to make this world mentally healthier and make sense again. That's what we're going to do. Please visit the website at mindmenderonline.com. That's mindmenderonline.com. You can send me an email there if you have any questions, anything you'd like to discuss or like me to discuss, or if you want to, I'll respond to you on the show here, or I will write you back in an email. But let's work on this together, folks. We have to be the difference that makes this world better. And I appreciate you tuning in. As always, it's my pleasure to have interested people that see the world the way it's supposed to be seen and will not be manipulated or conned by pharmaceutical companies or bogus reports based on liars. So I want you all to have a wonderful week. Stay safe. And thank you again for tuning in. I will see you next Sunday. And until then, have a wonderful week and stay safe. Take care.